Hello Internet, Gino here, aka That Pinguino. At least that's my name on PSN and Xbox Live and any other number of internet venues. What I'm doing here today is starting a new video series that I'm calling Deep Looks. The name is kind of a riff on GiantBomb.com's Quick Looks. And if you're familiar with those videos, you'll kind of understand how this format's going to work. But if you're not, let me go ahead and explain. GiantBomb.com, it's a video game website, and one of their standout features is the Quick Look, which are a series of videos that are uninterrupted gameplay with the editors of the site kind of commenting over the top as they play the game. Now, their videos are used mainly as purchasing advice, kind of letting the viewer know if a game's any fun, if it's worth spending money on, and if ultimately they should buy it or be interested in it. And they've kind of got the purchasing advice angle on lock. So I thought I'd kind of take my video series, take that format, and spin it in a slightly different direction. What I'm going to be doing is looking at games that have been out for a while that I've played the hell out of, and use the same video format to kind of point out mechanics or moments from these games that I find super interesting. Hopefully maybe inspire some discussion about those games and mechanics, or maybe just hopefully be entertaining and show off something that I really enjoy and appreciate. So to start that all off, I figured I'd show one of my favorite games of all time, Psychonauts, and I'm going to show off the mechanic Clairvoyance. So hopefully you stick along for this wacky ride, and hopefully you enjoy it. So I'm going to go ahead and start explaining Clairvoyance. So Clairvoyance, it's a power that you gain access to about midway through Psychonauts. In this level, the Milkman Conspiracy. So Clairvoyance is actually that little brain with eyeballs over there, that power to my right. What it lets you do is see through the eyes of other characters, other NPCs. So to understand how Clairvoyance kind of gets introduced, let me use it. This is the first example of Clairvoyance in the game. Take this crow feather, blast it with Clairvoyance, and you can see that this feather, by hitting it with Clairvoyance, is letting me see through the eyes of a crow that's perched high above this maze, and that lets me see that. I walk through that gate. I wouldn't ordinarily be able to see that the gate I just walked through is tied to the one to my left, but since I'm looking through the crow's eyes, I'm able to see Raz in a way that I wouldn't ordinarily. Now, that's kind of the way that Clairvoyance is used in this level early on. It's just used to let you see around corners, let you see in the dark when Raz wouldn't be able to by looking through the eyes of things with night vision. And that's a very cool gameplay mechanic. It forces you to make some tricky jumps because you're controlling a character while looking at them from a perspective you're not used to. But it's, from a gameplay perspective, it's interesting but not amazing. What's really cool about Clairvoyance, and the reason why I'm showing it off in this video, is you can actually use Clairvoyance on any NPC in the game, not just crows, and not just for the purposes of solving puzzles. So if I use Clairvoyance on, say, this little teleport bug, I also get to see through its perspective. And in this case, I'm looking at Raz, and he looks nothing like he looked before. Raz, here's Raz, normally. Normal, stylized little dude. Definitely a human. Definitely three-dimensional. See through the eyes of the teleport bug? I'm a package with goggles on. Now, why is this? Well, to this bug, which lets me teleport to other levels and other parts of the same level, I'm just a package to be moved. I'm not a person. It doesn't really care about Raz as a person. It's not interested in Raz as a person. So from that bug's perspective, all Raz is another package to move. So that's kind of one of the first ways that this game uses clairvoyance. It lets you kind of see how other characters, other NPCs envision Raz.
Take me to the kids' cabin.
Most enemies in the game will see Raz differently. Allies will see him differently. His friends at Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp. If you haven't played the game, Raz is a psychic camper who's trying to learn how to hone his psychic abilities at a summer camp to train psychic spies. So, well, it is a summer camp, so he will hang out with other campers, he'll make friends, and using clairvoyance you can actually see the way that those campers see him, literally. So, in this case we have Kitty over here, and her friend, her red-headed friend whose name I forget. And so they don't like Raz very much. So if I talk to them, what's up, Kitty?
Want to help me save the world? No.
What's up, Kitty's friend?
Hey, want to help me save the world? No.
So both of them don't really like Raz so much. So when I look through their eyes, Raz looks like an annoying fly, because they don't like him very much. He's a nuisance, just like a gnat, which is perfect visual representation of their opinion of him. Most of the enemies and people that dislike Raz in the game will see him as something less than human. Kitty, almost every girl in the game sees Raz as an annoying fly. Enemies like the sensors, which are kind of the mind's immune system in the game, they will see Raz as a virus, because you're entering mental realms. So the mental antibodies, which are sensors, see you as a virus. All the enemies will generally see you as a thing that they would ordinarily dislike, to kind of explain why they're attacking you. However, Raz's friends do something quite different when you look through their eyes. Their perspective on him, for example, Chops, who's one of your buddies, he sees you as a hockey player. So why are you a hockey player? Chops, I guess, is Canadian. That's not really mentioned too much in the game, but based on this, either he is way, way, way into hockey, or he's very Canadian. JT over here, who's another one of your buddies. What's up, JT?
Patrolling the homestead with my partner Chops riding shotgun.
If it wasn't clear from his hat and his bandana, he is a cowboy. So he views Raz as a cowboy with goggles. Goggles, constant theme. So what does this say? Raz's friends, in this case, instead of dehumanizing him and seeing him as something less than human, they actually tend to emphasize the aspects of themselves when they look at Raz. They project kind of aspects of themselves onto him, which kind of explains why they like him, and also explains how they view him. They see the things in themselves that they like. So, character Quentin, who's another character, he plays, I think he's a DJ, but he wears a scarf. So when Quentin looks at Raz, he'll see Raz in a sweet scarf. There's a character who thinks he's a mafia boss. He'll see Raz, another mafia boss. Pretty much all of Raz's friends will emphasize the aspects of themselves that they see in Raz that helps them identify with him. So the third way that Raz is seen, other than there are some characters that just straight up see Raz as Raz. Not very many, but there are a few. There's a third kind of NPC group, and it's kind of epitomized by Dogen. Dogen is a little bit mentally troubled, if you couldn't tell from the tinfoil hat and very odd look. He has a problem making people's heads explode, and that tinfoil hat is all that stops him from blowing up the heads of everyone around him. So he's kind of obsessed with his tinfoil hat. It's a problem for him. So when he looks at Raz, he sees a floating hat. So he doesn't really see Raz at all. He sees just the hat, just the aspect that he's kind of fixated on. So obsessed characters like Dogen will actually not see Raz at all. They'll just see a figment of kind of their obsession expressed out into the world. So if we go over to the main lodge, we can see a couple of other obsessed characters and how they view Raz. We got Nils over here, who is a little bit girl crazy. Right now he's trying to have a moment, but we're going to look through his eyes anyway. Hey Nils, what are you looking at? You're looking at your girlfriend, but also when he looks at Raz, all he sees is a not a girl sign. Because as far as he's concerned, the only thing that matters about Raz is that he's not a girl. Because he's constantly on the lookout for ladies. If we go into the cabin, we can see Vernon over here. He tells terrible, terrible stories. So when he looks at Raz, he sees an ear, just a person who can listen to his terrible stories. In this case, another person who's really, really self-focused, really obsessed with his terrible stories. So the people around him are just ears, just recipients of his stories. Now, the worst of these kind of obsessives are found in the abandoned insane asylum you go to in the back half of the game. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit up my girl Linda on my fish phone, and I'm gonna take a ride across the lake. Okay, seagulls see me as a cat. They don't like me very much. That explains why it's flying away. Seagull, no! Well, I have set a couple of them on fire, I must admit. They've got good reason to run. I'm going to go ahead and use my fish phone. There's going to be some spoilers for the back half of the game here. Honestly, these deep looks, there's probably going to be spoilers in all of them, but I'm going to go ahead and just try to make this as comprehensive as possible. If it bothers you that there are spoilers, heads up.
What's up, Linda?
Prepare yourself for passage, human child.
I really love that a giant mutated lungfish is your way of getting around. So here I am at Thorny Towers. Thorny's Insane Asylum? I forget the name of the Insane Asylum. Quentin Thorny? Something Thorny. It's a great Insane Asylum name. Fear not. So if I come over here and see Boyd Cooper, aka the Milkman, he sees Raz as a jar of milk. Bottle of milk. And that makes sense because he is way obsessed with milk, especially the kind that's on fire. If I come over here and find Gloria von Guten, who is a actress who's bipolar and very narcissistic, she sees an autograph to be signed because she's still kind of delusional about her fame and fortune. She still thinks she's a famous actress when, in fact, her only audience in a while has been these pots, which are deeply creepy. And so on. I can really show every NPC in this game has a different perspective on Raz, and you can find it by just hitting them with Clairvoyance and looking through their eyes. Why I find this mechanic, other than just the elegance of it, seeing through someone's eyes and turning the concept of, like, seeing through another person's perspective and turning it into a literal mechanic and kind of unpacking everything that would entail. It doesn't just work like looking through a camera that happens to be across the room. Clairvoyance actually factors in their worldview in how they see Raz. So yeah, you're seeing him from literally a different perspective than this third-person camera, but because you're seeing him through the eyes of another person and not through some mechanical camera, their perspective influences the way he's seen, which I think is really, really cool. And also, they spent so much, Double Fine, in making this game, spent so many resources, I must think, to make all of those images and get them all in the game, to help better characterize Raz and the characters around him, that really, you could go through this entire game and not know that Clairvoyance can be used on any NPC. You could use it just to solve puzzles. And to put all that effort in to help characterize these characters, I think is really, really remarkable and really interesting. Hopefully you learned something about Psychonauts. Maybe you didn't know that that was possible. Hopefully you found that entertaining. It wasn't quite as terrible as I thought it might have been. I'm gonna try and keep turning out videos like this at a pretty regular pace. No set schedule yet, but I don't really have a good sign off for this, so how do I send this out? Gino out. Gino out.